So this is my setup from last night. We're in a little area that looks like this. Down over the edge there is a river down at the bottom. You can probably hear it running in the background. So it was really a nice, it's just a beautiful place to set up camp. What you're looking at here is my hammock, which is underneath the tarp, which is a Cuben fiber tarp. What is Cuben fiber? It's an amazing, amazing lightweight material. The whole thing only weighs about 10 ounces, and it is impervious to water. So we have been in some ginormous rains and just deluges, big winds, and I've never had any water come through. As you all know, with a sil nylon, it does become permeable after a point of saturation, and we just don't have that experience with this. So what's nice about this as well, as it is a tarp, but it does have doors. So these flaps right here come down, and they have cords on the bottom, and you can clip them together, and it seals on both ends, and it seals the tarp around you. So any driving rain and that kind of thing, it just stays out and you stay dry. These stays right here, there are two on each side, really help to give you good room inside so that you have a little bit of volume to move around in, as you can see. So it's pretty comfortable. We have, as you know, because we're on the ground all the time, we do have a mat, a pad right here. You can see it. This pad, a Thermarest pad, and we put those outside like a little rug. So when we step on it, we have something to step on instead of the wet ground if it's raining. Now you might wonder, because in the rain, this does not come down to the ground. You can see the edge here. You can strike this, you can hang the tarp in a couple of different ways. You can obviously bring the sides down or high, however you want to do it. But it really hasn't been a problem. When we've had driving rains and whatnot, you just snug it down a little bit, and it really works okay. You don't get any blowback up onto the bottom of the hammock, which is very cool. My backpack, our backpacks, we put in garbage bags and put them just on the ground underneath our hammock. And then that way, that stays dry as well. So there, that's the Cuben fiber tarp. I'll be back to show you about the hammock. Hey there, I'm back again to talk about my Jacks Are Better bridge hammock. As you can see, it's hanging there. First of all, I just want to point out, if you can see above the hammock, that is the tarp. I rolled the tarp up, and it has a couple of snake skins that you pull from the ends and snug in the middle. And what happens is then I roll that up and carry it. Gosh, it rolls down into like 8x4, and then put it in a bag and carry it in my backpack. So, and also another thing about the tarp, like if we get to camp and it's pouring, then what we do is set up the tarp first, and then we can set up our bedding underneath and keep everything dry. We have not had, to this point, any wet bedding or anything like that. It's been fabulous. As you know, a lot of people that tent, if they're tenting in a regular nylon tent, they've had nights when in driving rains, they get wet. Their sleeping bag gets wet, everything gets wet, and it's a real pain in the butt. I can't imagine it. That would be a deal breaker for me. Anyways, moving on to the hammock. So this is a bridge hammock made by Jacks Are Better. And the bridge part are the two poles you can see on the end. This is an unusual sleep system on the trail because it is very heavy. The tarp, the hammock, the quilts, the poles, everything all together weighs 6.5 pounds each. So John's 6.5 pounds, I'm 6.5 pounds, and that's a pretty outrageous amount of weight to carry on the trail. However, we are dry and we are super comfortable, and all we need to do is be sure to have a couple of trees. And so far on the trail, and on the Appalachian Trail, it won't be any issue. There's plenty of trees. So we just made the decision that for us it was worth it. For a lot of people it wouldn't be, but we sleep comfortably and dry and warm, and boy, when you're hiking like you do when you're on the trail, that is really important. So I'm going to move up to the hammock now, and as you can see, it's attached to the tree with tree straps. Okay, and this line is called a whoopee sling, and it is adjustable. You can slide this up and down to give you, length that you need to attach to your hammock. So the ideal spread between trees is like 12 to 14 feet. Sometimes you get a little more, sometimes you get a little less, and this allows you to adjust for that. And then what's wild is all the hammock weight, and the hammock holds up to about, it's rated for about 250 pounds, is on this little titanium widget here. That just amazes me, especially these little strings too, made out of tough stuff. I don't know what they did back in the day. Moving on to the hammock itself, what you can see, oops, let me go back here. This green thing down here, this is an underquilt. So that keeps what it does is it's like suspended from the actual hammock itself. There's the actual hammock, and you can see the underquilt. What it does is there's a gap between the actual hammock and the underquilt that allows body heat to stay trapped in there, and it keeps you really warm. If you hammock and you don't have an underquilt, your backside gets really cold, and that's been validated to us by a lot of other hammockers on the trail. And this is down, so it's just really very, very nice. Now what we have on top here is a mosquito netting or bug netting, or whatever the heck is out in nature that wants to get in bed with you netting. One of the first Sunday we were on the trail way back in April, I did not have the netting closed. It was April. It was cold. It was rainy. It was windy. And I was laying on my back in the hammock with my arms behind my head. And I'll be doggone if a mouse didn't crawl up on my elbow. I did not have the screen closed. Well, after that, I was like, holy cow, if a mouse has the stones to get up on my bed with me in it, what else would? And ever since that, I've not slept one night without the netting closed. So for that, we sleep pretty comfortably because nothing gets in, so we don't have any buzzing around our ears or things crawling on us or anything like that. We don't have to worry about ticks getting into bed with us. It's all just really, really good. Obviously, the netting does zip. Let's see, I'm going to zip it back here. Hold on. And this is a two-handed job, so sorry about the squirrely videoing. Okay. And then this netting just flips back. So you can use it just as a chair too. I mean, you sit in the middle of that, you can just swing, it supports your back. It's really quite nice. So at the end of a long day, man, you make yourself up an iced tea and you sit down and take a load off your feet. It's pretty sweet. That is if you get into camp early enough. In the hammock, this is the top quilt. So we don't have a sleeping bag. We just have this quilt and the bottom quilt. And it is super, again, they're down, and it is super comfy. And that coupled with having the Cuben fiber tarp, again, we don't have to worry about wet bedding, and we've not had wet bedding, and as you know, wet down is not a good thing. In the end of on each end of the hammock, there's a little gear bag, so at night I put in my headlamp in case there's critters that need to be identified in the night, my phone, my watch, and battery recharger. So and I can charge my phone at night on my watch and have that all right there. This right here, this comes off. Whoops. This is the bridge portion, and this collapses down. Sorry about the bad video there. So into two poles, and then these go in the side of my backpack. So then you can see it looks more like a regular hammock then when you drop the bridge on there. But bottom line is, it's an amazing sleep system. As when you sleep in this, the purpose of the bridge is you don't sleep at a 45, okay? When you get in this, you're sleeping flat. You can sleep on your side and you can sleep on your back. It wouldn't work for your stomach. But that's the amazing thing, is you just have freedom of movement. You have freedom of movement in your legs. You're not confined by a sleeping bag. And you just have, it's just amazing comfort. No pressure points. No sore hips from laying on the ground, even if you have a ground pad underneath you. You're like sleeping in a half barrel. And it truly is amazing, and it's incredibly stable. It's not tipsy at all. So we're very, very happy with them, and highly recommend them if you're willing to carry the weight. But listen, if you're a weekend camper, you know what I mean? This is a no-brainer. This system's a no-brainer right here. It's amazing, as long as you have trees. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed my little intro to our Jackson Better sleeping systems. Talk to you later. Bye. Good morning. Coming to you live from the High Point Shelter, just outside the High Point State Park in Sussex Township, New Jersey. And just give you a quick tour. Fabulous water source, considering there's nothing else for 12 miles. Lovely. Got to listen to this babbling brook all last night while I was sleeping. And then turn around and we'll walk up the hill, and that's the shelter. Cute little shelter. It's an older one for sure. As you know, we don't stay in the shelter because we're hammocking. And picnic table and a backpack. Not much to see in here. It's pretty basic. This is really basic. But a lot of folks will do this, especially if they roll in after night or in the colder months. They'll stay in a shelter. But you have to deal with mice crawling on you at night. Ew. So anyways, you can see it's got a platform raised up off the ground so they can stay dry. And then this is a nice one because over here we have a little surprise. Oh, it's a bear box. So just as an FYI, not all shelters have food storage. So a lot of times we have to hang a bear bag. So when there's bear poles or a bear box like this, it's like so easy. It's like, thank goodness, you can just toss your stuff in there and not have to worry about it, or worry about the next guy that doesn't hang their food. Because Lord knows there's a bunch of them out there. And then this is kind of cute. This is a little walk that takes you back to the trail. We're about a 1/10 of a mile off the trail. And there's a little bridge down here. And this little river, from where I got my water this morning for coffee, is, no, not this one. Oops, sorry, next one. That one doesn't have a lot of flow. This one's got a lot of flow. This goes down into that bigger river. And so there's good water here. Always a pleasure. And then over there in those woods is where we hung our hammocks and had a great night's sleep. And that's it from High Point Shelter.